Hey there. Have you ever been shocked by the quiet strength of the Japanese? Punctuality, their inventions, their way of life? Like, why does Japan have a vending machine for umbrellas? Or how are cherry blossoms a big deal in Japan? Well, all those questions brought us here today, because the real story of Japan is more impressive than any Hollywood movie. In this video, we're going to take you back to the beginning. We're going to uncover the hidden events, surprising choices, and unique mindset that helped Japan turn from nothing into something truly incredible. So buckle up. The next few minutes will change how you see Japan forever. We will go back to 1860s Japan. Japan was no different than any other kingdom. Yes, it had islands, bamboo forests, and 1,000 years of shogun rule. But outside of that, it was normal. Its ruler at the time wasn't even called an emperor. He was called the shogun. Then everything changed. On February 1860, a group of samurai kidnapped a bunch of European missionaries and threw them into a nearby river. Why? For learning. You see, these foreigners were teaching locals about Christianity, which was seen as a threat to the shogun's power. But instead of simply killing the hostages, the samurai forced them to swim from shore to shore without any paddles or oars. To make matters worse, they made sure to put sand in the bottom of the boat so that it would sink once it reached the other side. Now, imagine being a hostage in this situation. What would you think? Of course, these missionaries were only useful as bargaining chips until they stopped paddling. But what would they offer the samurai? What could be worth 3 lives? Books. Yeah, seriously. These poor guys traded books for their freedom. In exchange for 3 times 2 books, the samurai let them go. It's like trading 3 hostages for 6 books. But it's okay because these weren't just normal books. They were full of knowledge that the samurai had never seen before. Stuff like physics and philosophy and math. Basically, things that started making the samurai question their own beliefs. And that's how it all began. This guy, Kondo, who survived the trip, started telling people about what he had learned, especially about a strange new power that was sweeping the world: steam engines. He described how in Europe, steam engines were moving trains and boats and doing tons of stuff. At first, everyone thought it was nonsense. But then Kondo found someone who believed him, Takakuni. And together, they went to the shogun and said, "Listen, you need to see this." After watching the steam engine, Takakuni knew that he had to do something. He knew that this technology was superior and that if Japan didn't copy it, it would lose its independence. So he took action, but not against the shogun. He went behind his boss's back and created a special department dedicated to studying Western technology. And guess what? It worked. Within 100 years, Japan became one of the most industrialized countries in the world. But wait, there's more. Remember the crazy part? The best thing about Takaku was that he didn't stop at adopting foreign ideas. He also applied them to everyday life. For example, he noticed that Europeans loved to drink beer. So he introduced a special tax on sake to pay for the growing cost of imported beer. Plus, he wanted to modernize Japan's military, so he set up special teams to test and review guns and ammunition. Talk about efficiency. And finally, he cleaned up the whole city. Can you imagine? Kyoto used to be dirty and dangerous. People would throw trash in the river and fight in the streets. But after Takakuni took charge, it became one of the cleanest and safest places in the world. No wonder they called him the father of modern Japan. But while this guy was cleaning up the country, another one was making it dirty. I'm talking about the Russian Zaruski, who was an expert at destroying things. In fact, he was the guy responsible for Russia's disastrous war against Japan. And let me tell you, the Russians did not hold back. They sank entire fleets of Japanese ships, killed thousands of soldiers, and destroyed everything in sight. But guess what? They still lost. And the reason for that? Japan's army followed orders. Sure, they weren't always successful, but at least they listened to their commanders. Meanwhile, Russia's soldiers, they did whatever they wanted. After this loss, something extraordinary happened in Russia. There was a revolution. And in the middle of all that chaos, a small group of Japanese soldiers entered Port Arthur. They were just a bunch of regular guys, not heroes or VIPs. Yet what they did next became a legend. First, they gathered around the fallen soldiers. They cared for the wounded, collected the bodies, and gave them decent burials. Then they set about repairing the city. They cleaned the streets, delivered supplies, and generally made Port Arthur livable again. And finally, they did something insane. They returned all the valuables they had found to the rightful owners. Can you believe it? Soldiers returning stolen goods? It was unheard of. And this attitude, it's what helped Japan win the war. Now, why did the Japanese soldiers behave like this? Because of Bushidō. It's basically a special code that samurai used to follow. Think of it as a guidebook for how to be a badass warrior. It had rules like don't be a chicken, be loyal. Don't be a coward, be disciplined. Don't be selfish, be helpful. And guess what? It worked. Samurai became famous for their bravery, loyalty, and selflessness. They were willing to give up everything for the greater good, even their lives. But that's not all. This code of conduct had another benefit. It helped the Japanese people stick together during hard times. You see, Bushidō wasn't just for samurai, it became part of everyday life. When the country faced tough challenges, people relied on it to stay united and focused. And boy, did they face some challenges. For example, there was this time when Japan got hit by a massive earthquake and tsunami. But despite losing their homes and businesses, people stuck together. They shared what little they had and rebuilt their communities. It was tough, but they knew that Bushidō was with them. That's how Japan became the prosperous and resilient nation it is today. And it all started with a simple code of ethics. Who knew following rules could lead to such awesomeness? And now brace yourself for an even bigger shocker. After all that success and glory, Japan decided to pack it in. Seriously, they abandoned the very idea of progress. You heard that right. In the 1980s, Japan was on top of the world. Their economy was booming, their cars were selling like hotcakes, and their electronics were the coolest around. But then something strange happened. They started ignoring all that success and turned their back on growth. Economists call it the Japanese economic puzzle. But the real reason is deeper. It's in Japan's nature. You see, Japanese culture has always valued simplicity and balance over constant growth and change. It's why they love things like bonsai trees and kintsugi art. They appreciate the beauty in imperfection. Take, for example, the art of kintsugi, which is all about embracing cracks and brokenness with gold. Instead of hiding them, Japanese artists highlight them because they believe it's what makes the pottery unique and valuable. Similarly, Japanese gardens aren't about maximizing space or overcrowding. They're about finding harmony and simplicity, appreciating the negative space and the subtle changes in nature. Even in business, Japanese companies value long-term success and customer loyalty over quick profits and flashy marketing. Take the famous Konosuke Matsushita, the founder of Panasonic, who said, "Good things take time." And guess what? He was right. His company grew slowly but steadily, focusing on quality and reliability, and it became a global success. And it's not just about business. In daily life, Japanese people value things like respect, empathy, and mindfulness. They take the time to appreciate the little things and focus on living in the present moment. For example, they have this tradition called wabi-sabi, which is all about finding beauty in imperfection and simplicity. And it's no wonder they're so darn good at fixing broken stuff like their bullet train system. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. In 1964, Japan had this crazy idea of building the world's first high-speed rail network. At first, everyone laughed at them. Building bullet trains from scratch was insane. But Japan didn't care. They had a plan. Step 1. Create a special government agency to oversee the project. Step 2. Recruit the best engineers and train them abroad. And Step 3. Test, and test some more. They even built a special test track to make sure the trains were safe and efficient. And guess what? By 1964, they had built 1,000 kilometers of high-speed rail, complete with 24 stations. It was the first of its kind in the world. But wait, there's more. They also invented the Shinkansen, which is a Japanese term for bullet train. These trains are not just beautiful, they're also super efficient. They run on time, have a smooth ride, and are incredibly safe. And that's all thanks to Japan's obsession with details. So yeah, Japan's journey is proof that resilience, discipline, and a bit of weirdness can take you places you never imagined. Who knows? Maybe the secret to your own success is hiding in your cultural quirks. Thanks for sticking with us till the end. We've got a surprise for you.